Hey there, YouTube. Ghost Jake here with you today. How's your day or night going, depending where you are? Mine is going pretty good. I am here today to do my review of the Exorcist TV show Season 2, Episode 2. Now, there's quite a few things to talk about in this episode, guys. Okay. Now, I actually watched this live today instead of watching it on Hulu. So let me know what you prefer in the future in the comments down below. I'm leaning towards just doing it on Hulu, so that way I can rewind it and fast forward it whenever I want to, and so that way I make sure I don't accidentally miss anything. The only difference if I do that is you won't get your review, like at 10 p.m. my time. You'll probably get it more like 1:30 in the morning my time, because it doesn't even come out on Hulu where I live until midnight. So that's the only difference right there. But just let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Now let's get started on the review, because there's quite a few things. There's quite a few things to mention and talk about today in this episode. I actually took some notes this time, so I believe I caught everything because I tried to write down the notes during the commercials. Anyway, now let's get started. There are 3 places to talk about: Montana, Seattle, and the Vatican for a quick second. Now, when this episode just opens up, it opens up at the Vatican, and you see Father Bennett. Actually, you see Father Bennett actually going over some notes he took. Like, he was at the Vatican, like the House of Exorcism. That's where Father Bennett was. The Vatican, the House of Exorcism. And he was going over like some notes he took and getting ready to present it to like the priest council, or whoever they are, about integration, the phase of the exorcism where the demon and the host body become one body, like willingly become one body. So, and Father Bennett goes into he goes into the the meeting room, and is presenting his case to the council members, and then to the council members, and then they you see the demonically possessed priest. So the Vatican has been compromised. Okay, we know that for sure. The Vatican is compromised because we see the priest who at the end of season 1, who kidnapped Father Bennett and slit his wrist and left him in the room with the demon. So we see that guy back, and he passes this test, and then and in and then he leaves after he passes the test. He drinks some holy salt water. That's what it looked like to me. And then he passes the test, and then they take him. And then they take him to. And then they take him. He passes the test, and then he leaves. And then the council members say they're pretty much demanding to know where Father Marcus is. And then they, leave. They leave because Father Bennett will not give up Father Marcus and Father Thomas. And one of the priests who thought to be on Bennett's side said, "Would you tell me? Would you tell me where they were, even if? Would you tell me where they were, even if you knew?" And Father Bennett says no. Okay, now we're going to Seattle. I mean not Seattle, Montana. I probably talked a little bit too much about Bennett. I just wanted to get that pretty much all out of the way, right from the get-go. Now we're back into Montana. Now, Montana takes up pretty much picks up in Montana. It picks up pretty much where the last episode left off, where Father Marcus and Father Thomas are tied to a post, like a post in the barn. And they're having a discussion about like how dangerous it is to let the demon into his head, and then Father Thomas is just like, oh, he's kind of doesn't understand how dangerous. I don't think he fully understands how dangerous it is. Because it's actually very dangerous. Right? And I don't think he quite understands that. And they're trying to convince Cindy's husband and her cousins, like they're the only ones who can save Cindy. Cindy is not sick; she's possessed. And while the husband is visiting Seattle, Seattle, my bad. While the husband is visiting Cindy in the hospital, we see he's talking to her. And then then Cindy, and the possession takes hold, and she grabs his arm and does the demon, voice or growl to him. Okay, now we're gonna leave. Now we're gonna go to. Now we're gonna go to Seattle really fast. Now, in the Seattle part of this episode, some interesting things happened, but it wasn't it was some notable things happened, but it was kind of calm a little bit, right? We have pretty much everybody is worried about Caleb's mental health because he was on the supposedly haunted well. And he was on the supposedly haunted well for the 10 seconds ritual to be performed, right, in the previous episode. We were worried that he was trying to, commit suicide or physically injure himself or, something along those lines. Right? Something along those lines. And they're talking to him. Right? So he's just having some time to himself. In his room. And then Rose, who's this like the social worker, and then Andy is actually the foster father. I actually wrote the names down to all these. There's a lot of characters in the season, so I just wrote the names down in my notes. So, I wouldn't have the same problem I had last week remembering the damn names. Like Andy, they go into Caleb's room to talk to him, right? And Caleb doesn't want to say anything. Like, he doesn't want to say anything at all. And then, like, you see a bunch of the kids downstairs. We see Verity, a kid named Shelby, and I forgot what the other guy's name. I don't think they said his name during the episode. If they did and I just missed it, I'm sorry. Right, and these like farmers show up to the house, and they start talking to Shelby about farming, and like wanting to see, like, turns out to be like the birth of some lamb or sheep or whatever, right? And now Shelby, if you remember who he is from episode 1, Shelby is like the super religious kid, right? He's like the super religious kid. Anyway, like they all go do their own things. Like the kids goes to their rooms, and Shelby goes with the farmers to go see the lamb. Now, I'll jump back to Montana really fast because Seattle's going to be the main focus point, and Montana only lasted like 2 episodes. And Seattle's going to be the main focus point going forward. Right. Anyway, back in Montana, the Cindy's husband, after the demon grabbed his arm and made the demon growl. Once the demon did that, like the lights started flickering, and the lights started flickering, and so, and he actually is really scared because that kind of freaked him out a little bit, and plus it's the demon. So he has no choice, but he calls Father Thomas and Father Marcus to tell them, okay, you got to bring him here. Like, I trust you. But before that, I forgot to mention one thing. But before that, the way how they got out of it, they didn't die right away. They told him they convinced him, and then they pretty much said to they said Cindy's husband pretty much told him, if she dies, you die. So, but anyway, like I said, he called after the demon grabbed his arm. He had no choice but to call Father Thomas and Father Marcus and get them to the hospital so they can perform the exorcism on Cindy. And when they get there, the possessed Cindy has like this man, right? And she bites like a hole in his face and bites him, and then she takes off up the wall and into the vents. Pretty agile, I have to say, but still she's possessed though. But still pretty agile. Anyway, to be able to do that. Anyway, now as the exorcism, they eventually find Cindy. Okay. Now, okay, now they go to find Cindy in the infant, where the babies are. They find Cindy in there, and they're about to start the exorcism. Okay. Now, thoughts. Okay, Marcus, to start the exorcism. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. I'm gonna, and they, end up doing the Father Marcus and Father Thomas end up doing the exorcism, and it's not working, not working, not working. So Father Thomas actually mind links with the demon again to get to the mind links with the demon again to get the exorcism. So we have Father Marcus doing the exorcism out front, and then Father Thomas doing the exorcism within. And and he actually sees Cindy, the real Cindy, not the possessed Cindy. He says, "Oh yeah, the demon's in the confession booth." So I thought that was actually pretty funny that the demon's in the confession booth. But I think that's just kind of funny. Anyway, like in the church in her mind. So I still thought that was from funny. I thought that was kind of funny that the demon was in the confession booth in the church in her mind, even though it's possessing Cindy. I thought that was pretty funny and actually pretty, interesting writing. And then we have Father Thomas in the confession booth confronting the demon and doing an exorcism, and then we have Father Thomas doing the exorcism from inside, and then we have Father Marcus doing the exorcism from the outside. And guess what? I don't know if it's the very first one, but it's the very first one of this season. The very first Mind Link exorcism. That's what I'm calling it. Mind Link exorcism was successful. Okay? The first Mind Link exorcism of the season was successful. And then Father Thomas is like, yes, we got the job done, and it was the key to saving her. And then Father Marcus is like, you don't understand how dangerous this is. Okay, now to finish up with Seattle really fast. And now I'm going all the way back to where I left off. We see Caleb, he goes downstairs. The demons, there is a supernatural presence starting to take place in Seattle. That much was pretty much 95% to 100% confirmed in this episode if you know what you're looking for. And I was able to spot it. Do I still think Caleb might be the one possessed? Yes and no. Because in this episode, things were centered around this. When the supernatural things started happening, they were very far in between, started happening, to everyone, not just Caleb. Okay, but it was kind of a little bit focused on Caleb. Now, okay, Caleb goes downstairs and he eats an apple, and the apple looks perfectly fine, and then he takes a bite of it, and he spits it out, and then the apple bite took the bite out was like covered in like maggots, right? And then he puts the apple down, and he bumps into Verity, right? And I think the apple I think she just thinks like the apple looks like a regular apple, doesn't see the maggots or anything. And then, we see Father, and then we see Caleb. Caleb. He goes upstairs and he bumps into Andy. Like later on, and he tells Andy that Felicity pretty much took me out there at night and left me on the well, and that I'm 95% sure that is not true at all. Felicity did not take him out there at night. She did take him out there, but he was with when she was out there with them. Everyone was out there. Anyway, the next supernatural event in Seattle was Shelby. He was at the farm watching this sheep give birth to this like lamb, or lamb give birth to this baby sheep or lamb, and there was something wrong with the birth, right? And I was like, oh, how's that that could just be like 1 in a million fluke or whatever, something being wrong with it, or whatever. Like, how is that a sign of a supernatural presence? Oh, trust me, it is. If you, I don't know how many of you ever watched Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, or The Exorcist: The Beginning. There, in that movie, right? In that movie, there was a part in that movie when the demon was gaining strength, right? In that movie, this woman, here's the graphicness to this. Like, gave birth to this in the movie. Gave birth to this baby, and the baby was like covered in like maggots or whatever. I can't remember which one it was. It was either the Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, or The Exorcist: The Beginning. So something being wrong with the lamb kind of is the one and the same almost with The Exorcist, the TV show, and that movie. And in that part of that movie, that is when the demon was starting to gain its strength in the movie. So, and then what happened? The demon got his ass kicked by a young Father Merrin, and then The Exorcist the movie, the demon killed Father Merrin, and then The Exorcist season 1, Father Thomas defeated the demon. So there you go. Well, see, all the movies correlate together. Okay, now then we have Shelby anyway, now back to the review. Now we have Shelby back in Seattle. Going into the woods, like reading out the Bible because stuff is happening. Right? And then at night, right before the episode ends, you see you hear like these, twigs breaking and whatnot. It's like what is going on? And then you see like blood on the door, and the blood is actually lamb's blood because there is a part where in the Bible, apparently lamb's blood protects the house from supernatural forces, and Shelby believes that the woods are haunted, and in fact they probably are because of the stupid whale in that house on their property. Anyway, right before the episode's end, Father Thomas and Father Marcus are about ready to leave, and then they get a call from Father Bennett telling them to leave Seattle and destroy the cell phones, right? And then you see them driving down the road heading towards Seattle. I'm very excited for next week. Oh yeah, and I forgot one thing in the very beginning. Father Bennett has to look for some girl. Anyway, my thoughts on this episode. It was a very good episode. I indeed you watch it, but only if you watched episode 1 first of season 2. This is Ghost Jake signing out. Have a good day. Bye.